Both of these teams and leagues and regions once were in the GPL and since are now separate and independent. So let's see what they can do. I want to just put some numbers as quickly as I can to some of the early game stats that Azel and Vedius have been talking about. For EVS, in one of their 5 games this groups, they managed to pick up the first dragon. In 2 of the 5 games, first blood, and 0 of them did they get the first tower. To contrast that with Flash Wolves, 4 out of 5 games they got first blood and first dragon, and in all 5 of their previous games, they got the first tower. And they've got lanes that can facilitate all of those things together.
Are you implying that the Flash Wolves are good at League of Legends?
I am indeed. They're 5-0, and they're trying to make it 6-0. Both teams just going to wave at one another. Challenge, Legion Spire. Jules will take that one down. But let's keep a close eye on this early game because EVOS, they threw themselves in the kitchen sink at Flash Wolves a couple days ago. It didn't work out very well.
But I actually want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit more about like Flash Wolves as a team, because coming in the expectations were low, and going 5-0 in the first half of the group just kind of defies all expectations, especially after their game versus Kingzone earlier. The fact that they're finding such a successful early game once again speaks to how consistent this team has been.
Look at this. First blue buff steal, brute forced by Flash Wolves.
Yeah, and it just felt like EVOS was completely unprepared for that. I'm surprised that Ejin even kind of bothered coming over when he was that late. The blast cone had already been killed off, so no real way in, and we'll be just giving up that blue buff.
And Azael, the first 2 bans from Flash Wolves, the Graves, the Kha'Zix. The first move from Flash Wolves straight into Yijin's face, straight into his jungle. Very clear who Flash Wolves are trying to get uncomfortable and just off his A game as we start this up.
And look at Mujin. I think he actually wants to meet him perhaps at the red buff or even the Raptors. He's just trying to straight up be in his face, and you can do this if you're pushing lanes.
Oh, will Slay get slayed? No, manages to flash away, got caught by the knockup, and Mujin sends his regards, gives a little bit of a chomp onto Yijin.
Counter jungling Trundle, Mujin. Another one of the young rookies on the squad, just pushing Yijin around, and here comes an engage.
Oh, look at this! Swordart manages to find the knockup. Summoner heal traded in exchange for the flash and the ignite. Not done yet. A little bit of a stun from Yijin. Managing to get some damage down. Continues to trade back and forth. Down to 100 HP. Defensive flash. First blood picked up by EVOS.
Yeah, and Mujin eventually just seems like he bit off more than he could chew. Maple's getting pushed out by Warzone, and the plan was for Maple to be able to be the faster to roam, but Warzone blocks him out and they get first blood.
Rule number 1 of finding Skarner, do not fight him in his own territory. He was stood on top of a spire. The bonus stats that he was able to gain off the back of it enabled him to outtrade the Trundle, who was only level 2. And Yijin is able to find the counterplay. You can see here, he secures it first, and then Mujin just stands inside.
Yeah, Mujin just too late to actually get back on the spire. He had claimed it previously, but as soon as you give it up, as you said, he actually pillared him into himself, and that's not a fight he could win.
Just a quick update, gentlemen, after that little boop from Yijin, 2 out of their 6 games have secured first blood. And on the other side, Flash Wolves, it's 4 out of 6. But that's exactly what he was needed. Also on the member that was targeted, he was pushed out of his jungle, so it's a good start for you.
And it's a polar opposite to the last game. I mean, if you look back, it was actually Yijin on the Kha'Zix giving up a very silly first blood to the Skarner, and now he's going to be off to a much better start.
Experience is what Yijin has gained. I remember the last time this happened, not today.
Well, let's see what happens as Yijin will once again find Mujin inside Flash Wolves' jungle. The blue buff was stolen away, so it ends up being a trade, I suppose, to balance it out. And we settle into the slightly more normalized laning phase, but with Ron OP and Slay already down some summoner spells on Slay's ADC, he's being pushed backwards, and it's a difficult start. They're already feeling a little in the CS.
Yeah, certainly the case. And he did start boots plus that 4-bot, so going very heavily in the potions, but already having to use 3 of his potions in lane and down both summoners. So if he does get caught by one more engage, certainly could be going down, and he's going to have to be playing very carefully, which can result in falling behind in the farm.
It's so good to see Swordart using that battle dance to dodge away the Dark Binding. Something that we didn't see a whole lot of earlier today. And of course, this sets up Flash Wolves' bottom lane very well. The team composition will be playing around them. We've not looked at Hanabi versus Stark. Stark, by the way, 5 of the 6 games he's played this on, so definitely his pick of the tournament. And he's already been shoved in, sort of as you'd expect.
To break it down for you, the Gangplank pressed Q on him, and then it waited till it came up, and then he pressed Q on him.
Okay.
And he hoped for some gold.
Oh, there we go.
As I said,
press
there
Q
you
on
go.
him. I'm waiting for the cooldown again.
It's going to be
Come on,
back
now
up.
you can
now play top lane.
Yeah, I know.
Wow, thank
Yeah.
you. I have now been educated in slot Gangplank in my future games. But the thing is, Stark's still winning on farm. Because one of the big obnoxious things about Ornn that I love is that his W is not only his wave clear tool, but also his trading tool. It gives him a big shield. Every time the Hanabi wants to come up and farm, he's going to get hit by the Bellows Breath. And it just means that not only are you constantly trading into that many minions, but you're also taking all this damage from the Ornn as well. And that's why often you'll see the Gangplank struggle in the early game. But as things progress, it'll get a little bit easier.
EVS is looking to try to set up a dive here. 4-man bot already, but GP ult does.
Oh, GP ult's available. Where is it? No ways. That's a double root. Managing to turn this around. Betty turns the 4v2 dive with the help of the cannon barrage. Warzone stuck behind enemy territory and will go down. Betty picks up the kills and they turn that around.
Yeah, that was the disaster dive there for EVS with the GP ultimate available. Ron OP is the one tanking the turret. He goes down almost immediately, and Flash Wolves bot lane are going to get so much of that.
And you could see that EVOS, they were trying to be proactive. They wanted to get ahead of Flash Wolves before they were able to make this level 6 all-in play towards the bot side of the map, but the execution wasn't there. So initially, Slay takes a tower shot, Ron OP is now tanking the tower, and he effectively just dies to the tank.
I don't think he realized he had turret aggro. He actually pulled the turret aggro with his W. He dropped it early, and I think he thought someone else was tanking and just really lost track of the situation there. And that is a very, very hefty price to pay.
That sucks.
Cannon barrage picks up 1 kill, Betty the other, and Sword Art the final. So 3 kills in that turned around dive. The blade caller from Betty tagging 2 of the members diving in. Very nicely done. Ron OP and Slay will get some chip damage on a Sword Art, but not a huge amount.
And it's always such a bad feeling as a top laner. You know, if you're Stark, you're like, yep, doing pretty well, up in farm. Gangplank ults bot, gets a kill and an assist, and you already know Gangplank is going to outscale you, so you kind of have a limited amount of time where you get to have pressure, and that just cuts it down that much more.
It does indeed. A little bit of an engaged here onto Ron OP. Almost gets burst down. There's no flash from Betty, though. But they're going to get that out from Ron OP. He's able to escape with his life. BF Sword, attack speed Danger into a Zeal. So Betty's going to be very happy with any of these trades. And Stark goes in with the Bellows Breath. All the Forge God is available to him. He decides not to pull the trigger.
You know, Slay and Ron OP keep trying to go for these trades in the 2 versus 2, and they honestly just keep getting outplayed. Sword Art utilizing the Rakan's mobility extremely effectively, forces so much pressure down onto the duo of EVOS, and they're constantly being put on the back foot. But Yijin has appeared once again. Looking at the teleports, unavailable. Gangplank ulti unavailable. The Stark.
The Ornn Horn comes down. That will force the flash from Hanabi, and Yijin's not gone into the bottom lane yet.
Remember the last time Stark did this, he solo killed Impact, so Hanabi was like, I must flash if I see Stark ult, and I will be able to survive. But once again, good pressure being applied there from Stark.
Definitely the case, and Yijin, unfortunately for EVOS, not able to find anything on the bottom side of the map, but he has everything available, Predator, Flash, etc.
Oh, okay, good. Stark manages to break down the pillar. Flash is available to him. Needs to flash in, get over the wall, won't be able to do so. Mugen just finds him wandering through the river. An easy pickup and an easy kill for Flash Wolves to maintain the gold lead.
I think he was actually just looking for the honey fruit and trying not to go back to base just yet, but you know, sometimes that's the risk you run. If you wander out into the river, you're that low on HP, someone finds you, you just go down.
It's not safe to go alone. Just take a jungler with you. If you do that, you got punished for it. So 10 minutes coming up, and Flash Wolves, they're up in kills, they're up in gold. They've got some early pressure despite some of the shenanigans. And Yijin's definitely showed with the rest of the team on the EVOS side, their focus was trying to help Slay and Ron OP. You know, multiple attempts, multiple visits. It hasn't really paid off yet.
But Yijin still has not actually pulled the trigger on his ultimate. When you have that Flash ultimate available with Skarner, you want to be executing on those ganks early and often, and this is what we have to see them be able to pull off. I mean, Jhin ultimate is up, the Morgana ultimate is up, everything is available for Skarner. You need to be able to capitalize on this.
All right, Betty has no flash available, but Sword Art will be found. Instant impale, should get rooted when he comes out of it into a dark binding as well. Slay gets a kill onto Sword Art. Now Betty is the target, or in fact, is it Slay? Featherstorm flashed away from. Now Yijin gets turned on. Maple's not going to find the root just yet as Yijin's able to waddle himself to safety. That's a kill for EVOS.
And Flash Wolves, they always respond so quickly to any play that EVOS is trying to make. Yes, EVOS find themselves a good kill onto Sword Art as he's trying to get vision in the river. But the fact that they then burn 2 flashes off the back of that and may even put pressure down onto Warzone.
Yeah, they can. The Pillar of Ice comes out, slowing Warzone. Teleport will actually complete from Sword Art. He's got that unsealed spell book.
45 gold worth.
There we go. Clears out the wave, says thank you very much, Maple. And he starts to make his way down to the bottom lane.
It's going to get scary here for Flash Wolves. They are in the river again. We'll go back to the replay, but Yijin getting pulled in. This is just a pretty nice combo. No real chance for him to get out, but watch Betty and his patience on the ultimate. Waits for the force shot to be in the air, and then immunes that force shot with the ultimate, avoiding it completely, and that means EVOs have to fully retreat.
Things are not looking good for EVOS in this early game so far. It was, as we said, a good gank. This is more of what we wanted to see, but the AD carry is 30 CS down. He's in a matchup that is already difficult to play, and more levels and more items are already coming in for the Flash Wolves. In this 2v2 in the bot lane, they're going to be looking to continue their proactivity. Now, Warzone roaming up to the top side, this is a nice change that we could see, because shutting down the gangplank and enabling Stark to get out of this lane and start using his ulti to maybe force fights could be one avenue that EVOS used to get back into the game.
Definitely would, but with Maple now having completed the banner, that's going to be very difficult for Warzone anytime you try to actually leave your lane. He only has 1 dematerializer charge left before the banner was completed, so not a lot left in the tank to deal with that, and anytime you leave your wave and there's a banner minion pushing in, a lot of turret damage can come down. It's going to be really tough for EVOS, because even looking at Slay on this Jhin, there's so much to deal with as a low mobility AD carry. The Trundle Pillar comes in behind you, Gangplank ultimate gets dropped on your face, and then you have a Rakan diving in on you, and that is so tough to avoid.
It is difficult, and of course we are very much sort of Flash Wolf favored for the time being. It's a small gold lead, but it's the team composition and the way that it all adds up that makes you feel like they're going to pull ahead. For anybody that watched the first game that these two teams played, there was a narrative that I introduced talking about the gold leads. And that was because Flash Wolves were chasing on the largest gold lead at 15 minutes of the entire MSI tournament for 2018. The record is a little over 8,000. They fell short. They only got it 6,200.
Only a little.
Only a little,
Slacking.
right? But you compare it to this game, where as we get closer to 15 minutes, it's only 900 gold. EVOS still have very good pick, team fight opportunities and possibilities, but they can't afford to fall behind now. You see Trinity Force has picked up. The banner that you've just talked about, getting closer to Essence Reaver for Betty. So these next 8 to 10 minutes, I need to see a controlled EVOS that don't fall behind.
And the fact that the bot tower hasn't gone down yet in favor of Flash Wolves is definitely a positive, because Slay and Ron still have a lane in which they can get themselves some farm. We haven't seen the Gangplank ulti really used proactively yet towards the bot side, but now that we see both Mujin and Maple roaming around throughout the river, this will give them an early Drake that will just enable Hanabi and Betty even more to keep looking for these laning trades.
And it sounds a little bit funny to say, but there's going to be a roam up to the top side, so we'll see if Hanabi can get out of this.
There's a flash for Hanabi, but I don't know if he's going to use it. Cannon Barrage comes down. Good double team, and this is something you guys talked about, how Warzone could put Gangplank behind.
Yeah, very nicely done by EVOS, and Flash Wolves at the same time. It sounds funny to say, but they can be pretty happy sometimes with playing an extended laning phase when you have Gangplank who's going to be farming off of this Ornn who's going to be scaling up, when you have a Trundle who's going to be outscaling the Skarner and a Karma who's going to have a lot of teamfight effectiveness. You don't always need to actually pressure and try to get a turret. You can just sit in these extended laning phases and wait for your item spikes to come through.
And Azel, you talk about the extended laning phase. Despite being down 30 CS, Hanabi's up 300 gold. And there's just a replay of obviously Stark setting it up and Warzone bringing it home.
Yeah, it's nice to see that EVOS aren't just sitting around, not doing anything, waiting to sort of lose control over the map. Making plays towards the gang all over the map. Making plays towards the gangplank is kind of a shift in terms of their playstyle after failing to find any big avenues down bot. And now they've actually been able to close the goal gap a little bit. One of the big reasons why Flash Wolves is able to stay even is because their AD carry has a big lead, but also because of the Kleptomancy gold that Hanabi is picking up for himself. So EVOS, much better early game compared to when they last met.
Definitely very, very much better. I mean,
Yes,
last
there's
game
the
was,
understatement of the
last game
century.
was essentially decided by this point. So EVOS is very, very close, but we want to see them continue to use their playmaking abilities, right? I am really looking at the Skarner. I'm looking at the Skarner ultimate. You need to continually attack your opponents, use your advantages there, because their CC is very powerful, and if you continually get kills with your Skarner ult, with your Orin ultimate, and these big playmaking abilities, that's how you can kind of get the game going more in your favor and establish the gold leads that you may need to win some later team fights.
I will keep our eyes on the coordination. I've got a question for you. We've discussed backstage itemization a lot, and good things, bad things. What do you make of the Jin build with the Swifty boots into rapid fire cannon? Do you like it? Do you dislike it?
So I think against a team like this, it actually makes a lot of sense because you have a lot of trouble staying safe and maybe a fight breaking out, but essentially the thought process here with Swifty Boots and Rapid Fire and the Fleet Footwork is you have a lot of movement speed, you can move around, and you should always be able to get your fourth shot off for these beneficial trades. I'd also say the added benefit here is, you know, the reduction in slows, coming up from a Trundle Pillar, the Gangplank ultimate. There's so many things you have to stay safe from, and you know the difference between a team fight where he steps just barely back enough and avoids Sword Art's engage and one where he does not can completely decide a game. So I think it makes a lot of sense here.
I also think the added range makes it easy to farm during the laning phase and just have that extra bit of trade, you know, because if you are able to land the long-range picks, which you do have with a Morgana and a Jhin follow-up, it means that you're guaranteed to at least try and get one auto off with a bit of extra damage and just add a bit more value to the poke. So I think that there are multiple different options that you have there with going for the early wrap.
Plus, it's always fun to make race car noises. And
Also true.
Oh, race car noises. Please add them for me when you feel it's appropriate, Azael. By the way, at the beginning of the game, I said that Flash Wolves in 4 out of 5 games had the dragon. It is now 5 out of 6 for the first dragon. They also have secured first tower blood in every single one of their games. Yijin has found the Flash Impale. The tower will fall in the backside, but the call of the Forge God comes down. Will EVOS win the team fight? The damage and the combo from the Flash Wolves is tearing EVOS apart. The first victim is Yijin. Stark gets taken down as Mugen chomps him out. Hanabi's able to flash for safety, and look at that Pillar of Ice. It slows down 3 members of EVOS. Ron OP gets realm warp to safety, and EVOS escape with 3, but they lose the tower and 2 of their members.
Man, Stark played that fight as well as he could, but it was Hanabi that was ripping the backline apart of EVOS. They tried to force a fight because they recognized, hey, we need to go for something, and we can get a good fight set up here with Stark coming in from behind, but unfortunately, in terms of the execution and in terms of individual playmakers, it was Flash Wolves that were able to come out on top.
Yeah, the Black Shield was missing from Slay. You can't allow that Jhin to get caught like that when you're investing into all this move speed, we're investing into that Morgana Black Shield for that pick. You need to keep him safe. He got comboed by Sword Art. You lost 89% of his HP, both defensive summoners. Your 80 carry is out of the fight. You now cannot win, and he cannot re-enter because of the threat of someone like Betty or Maple just killing him in one hit.
In the blink of an eye, it feels like a 4,000 gold lead, and this is exactly the composition of the strengths we're talking about.
And just watch the combo here onto Slay and Ron OP. The Black Shield was used on Skarner. They both get caught. Look at Slay's health. He already has to heal. He has to get out of there, you know, committing those summoners. And when you're this low, you just can't re-enter the fight. How is Stark supposed to have that assistance, you know, when he is pushed that far back?
And you can see Hanabi, after all of the initial work was done, he's able to just clean up a lot of the backline fight. And it was just like a 3-man knockup into Rise, basically just only being able to hit Mugen in front of him. One of the big weaknesses of Rise is the fact that you can body block. He does have the short range on a lot of his abilities too. And while his damage was high, that damage wasn't impactful enough to swing the fight in EVOS' favor.
And you just look at the 80 carry difference there, right? You know, more than double the damage put out by Betty because Slay was chunked out so quickly. And it comes down so much to execution in these fights as Mugen has a little dance.
Just busting a few moves there.
I saw you busting some moves yesterday.
Oh, I tried my best. Garen impersonation, it's one of my favorites. And as it stands, Stark was looking for Sword Art, but he's just going to use all the mobility to escape. And, you know, you were talking about the difference in CS. You can see how Maple, while he's behind Warzone, got some damage to back up now. Shirelia's Reverie on Rise, not used to seeing that one. QSS on Betty, he's one of the 80 carries that picks up some of the utility earlier on in the game. And Flash Wolves at 20 minutes, sitting comfortable, looking like they're going to completely take over the map.
Yeah, the Shirelias on Warzone is definitely unique to me. We talked a lot about how mid laners value the, sorry?
Race car noises.
Race car noises, that's the main reason. Now, Hanabi instant danger.
It is indeed. Yijin and are going to be able to combo with Warzone. take down Hanabi.
The long-awaited question has finally been answered. Who would win in a fight, a pirate or a scorpion? Turns out that if a magical wizard gets involved, very easy win in favor of EVOS. Gets them an extra kill on the board and starts to close the gap a little bit.
I don't think we're reading the same books, my friend. As it stands, EVOS get themselves a pick. Compliments of that Realm Warp and they Impale, but they're still very far behind. They can't afford any more big mistakes. I mean, look at Hanabi. He's got the Ghost Blade already to complement the Triforce, and Flash Wolf is starting a very bold barrel.
There's no vision from EVOS here. I don't
think
know
they
if they
just
have
get
any
it.
idea.
No, I think they have no idea. They're actually just doing Dragon, but great, we're seeking a Dragon. Well, unfortunately for them, on the other side of the map, yeah, this is just probably going to be Flash Wolf.
Oh, now they're a question
Starting
mark.
to wonder.
They're like, wait a minute.
Kudos to Flash Wolf. Slay is nearby, but Baron is already going to get secured here. Smite comes down. I held my breath for a moment, but 20 minutes and 47 seconds in, Flash Wolves read the map flawlessly. The grand entrance into the quickness. Warzone's in trouble. Pillar of Ice slows down the escape as the Subjugate is removing the resistances. Ron is not so OP when 4 members drop on his head. And Flash Wolves are sending themselves up to go 6-0 in the group stage.
Yeah, and I mean, the mini wave is already prepped on the top side. They already have this huge lead. The Baron buff minions is going to mean they're going to get the outer tier 1. They're very likely going to go straight into the tier 2. Mid lane is being pushed. The banner is available for Maple, so this Baron power play has the potential to just explode this gold lead.
You know, EVOS have not come in with the highest expectations surrounding them, but you cannot take away anything from how well the Flash Wolves are playing right now.
Well, take a look at that. Yijin's going to bring the Impale back. Sword Art takes a lot of damage. Enough for Yijin to close out. The Realm Warp will send Warzone into the middle of the fray, and the target's Hanabi. He gets taken out. Ball of the Forge God from behind. EVOS will not go quietly into the night as they shut down Maple. That's the 4th of the fight. Baron buff and the Baron power play will be impacted. But a reminder that EVOS are still 6,000 gold down. That was a great team fight, but they need a whole lot more.
But that was still a huge team fight, quick shot for EVOS. The fact they find 4 kills onto a Baroned up Flash Wolves who had such a big lead would give them so much more momentum coming back into the game. Think of all the towers they'll be able to pick up, and they might even look for a kill into Betty.
Well, they're going to try. Bella's Breath is started by Stark. Not going to be followed up, though. Maybe just buying some time, zoning Betty away so Warzone can chip away at that tower. While that happened, though, the mid-outer falls. That's only the 2nd of the game for EVOS, and that's, again, it's more control. It's more gold for the EVOS squad.
But really careless, honestly, from Flash Wolves.
Yes.
They're trying to dive an inhibitor turret with the tier 2 still available. Your 80 carry, who is super strong, up in the top lane. You know, this is not something you need to go for. Just take the turret. You just got Baron. You're getting 2 turrets on the top side. They're going in so far, trying to dive past that. Yijin gets pulled in. The rest of the team is trying to follow up in between 2 turrets while Betty is on the top side of the map. That's not something you can really go for, and it just feels like not giving that respect to your opponents.
Hey man, they still got the tier 2 turret.
They did.
It only cost them 4 people. I mean,
Thing is, when you see how those team fights go, EVOS have some great team fighting tools if they can find the right targets and have the opportunity. But as it stands, Slate needs to get a lot more damage. He's got himself the Infinity Edge, got himself the Rapid Fire Cannon. There's a Void Staff for Warstone, so they are scaling. They're becoming a lot more relevant.
thing is, there's a minute left on the Baron. Flash Wolves, with the goalie that they have, they might look to go for another fight right now, given the strength that they're feeling. And yeah, they're using the Gangplank to just zone EVOS away.
They are
secure
indeed.
themselves another in-hit.
Follow Sword Art, follow Sword Art. He's got himself a flash. He's got quickness available. There's only 1 black shield on the side of EVOS. The inhibitor may just go down. There's Sword Art. Insta-flash from Slay. Stark manages to get the call of the Forge Guard down, but it's not going to be enough. The feathers fly. Called back by Betty. Stark will be falling after. The inhibitor's the next target is now Slay. Flashless gets run down. This is looking like an ace for Flash Wolves. The shutdown onto Warzone. Ron OP gets knocked up into the air. Flash Wolves are going to consider the dive into the Fountain Tower. Ron OP's healing up. Manages to survive. Not long enough. It's an ace for the Flash Wolves and the base to determine the game. The Nexus turrets are falling, and just as the Baron buff times out, Flash Wolves remain undefeated at 6-0. Flash Wolves take down EVOS.
It was competitive through the early game, but it was Flash Wolves that take over in that mid-game. 20-minute Baron, a master stroke here, was not spotted by EVOS until much too late. And